Good day, everyone. So, I'll be sharing to you my policy brief about excise tax on chlorine. Statement. Chemical element chlorine is widely used and recognized for its adaptability, although its safety has long been a source of debate. When not handled carefully, the chemical can pose serious threats to infrastructure, the environment, and human health. Numerous recorded instances of accidents and improper handling of chlorine serve to highlight this problem. We will examine the factors that make chlorine dangerous in this discussion, as well as any possible repercussions of poor management. By being aware of these dangers, we may take precautions to guarantee the safe handling and use of chlorine in a variety of settings, reducing the likelihood of negative outcomes. So these are the bad effects of chlorine. So chlorine is a hazardous chemical used to disinfect water, bleach cloth, and make paper. However, it is also a major contributor to air and water pollution, and it can cause a variety of health problems, including respiratory irritation, skin burns, and cancer. So, air pollution. Air pollution is a mixture of particulate matter and gases that can be harmful to human health and the environment. Chlorine is a major source of air pollution, especially in areas with heavy industry. Chlorine can react with other pollutants in the air to form ground level ozone, which is a major component of smog. Ozone can irritate the lungs and trigger asthma attacks. It can also damage plants and ecosystems. Water pollution. Water pollution is the contamination of water bodies such as lakes, rivers, and oceans. Chlorine is a major source of water pollution, especially from industrial and municipal wastewater. Chlorine can also enter water bodies from runoff from agricultural fields and lawns. Chlorine can kill fish and other aquatic life, and it can make drinking water unsafe. Respiratory irritation. Respiratory irritation is inflammation of the airways. Chlorine can irritate the airways and cause a variety of symptoms, including coughing, wheezing, shortness of breath, and chest pain. Chlorine exposure can also worsen asthma and other respiratory conditions. Skin burns. So chlorine can burn the skin. Chlorine burns can be mild or severe, depending on the concentration of chlorine and the duration of exposure. Mild chlorine burns can cause redness, itching, and swelling. Severe chlorine burns can cause blisters, necrosis, and scarring. So, lastly, cancer. Chlorine exposure has been linked to an increased risk of certain types of cancer, including bladder cancer, lung cancer, and colorectal cancer. The exact mechanism by which chlorine causes cancer is not fully understood, but it is thought to involve damage to DNA. Why the government should consider an excise tax on chlorine? One way to reduce the use of chlorine and its harmful impacts is to impose an excise tax. An excise tax is a tax placed on specific goods or services. It can be used to discourage the use of harmful products, generate revenue for environmental programs, and promote the development and use of safer alternatives. So here are the 5 reasons why the government should consider an excise tax on chlorine. First, to reduce the use of chlorine and its harmful impacts. An excise tax would make chlorine more expensive, which would encourage businesses and consumers to use less of it. This would help to reduce chlorine pollution and its associated health risks. Second, to generate revenue for environmental programs. The revenue generated from an excise tax on chlorine could be used to fund programs that clean up pollution, promote environmental stewardship, and develop safer alternatives to chlorine. Third, to promote the development and use of safer alternatives. An excise tax on chlorine would create a financial incentive for businesses to develop and market safer alternatives. This would help to reduce the long-term reliance on chlorine and its harmful impacts. Fourth, to be consistent with other environmental taxes. The government already imposes excise taxes on other harmful products such as cigarettes, gasoline, and ozone-depleting chemicals. An excise tax on chlorine would be consistent with this approach to environmental protection. And lastly, to be fair, an excise tax on chlorine would be a fair way to pay for the cost of cleaning up chlorine pollution and promoting safer alternatives. Businesses that use chlorine would bear the brunt of the tax, which is appropriate since they are the ones who are generating the pollution. So I believe that my policy brief provides a strong case for imposing an excise tax on chlorine. I urge policymakers to carefully consider my recommendations and to take the action to reduce the use of this hazardous chemical. Excise tax on chlorine is a sound policy that would help to reduce the use of this hazardous chemical and its harmful impacts. It would also generate revenue for environmental programs and promote the development and use of safer alternatives. I urge the government to consider imposing an excise tax on